The night my brother broke her heart, I watched something inside her shatter too, and I knew that nothing in our lives would ever be the same again. It happened under a sky heavy with rain clouds, outside the small cafe where they used to sit every Friday evening. I wasn't supposed to be there. I had only stopped by to return a book my brother had forgotten at home. Instead, I walked into the aftermath of a love story collapsing. She stood there, frozen, her hands trembling at her sides while my brother walked away without looking back. The street lights reflected off the tears on her cheeks, and in that moment she didn't look angry. She looked empty, as if someone had reached into her chest and quietly taken something precious with them. Before we go any further, if you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the quiet power of choosing to love better than those who hurt us, take a moment to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who believes in healing, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this matter because real hearts break every day, and sometimes they heal in the most unexpected ways. Her name was Aisha. She had been a part of our lives for almost 3 years. She wasn't just my brother's girlfriend. She was the girl who brought homemade cookies during Eid, who remembered my mother's birthday when even I forgot, who sat on our old rooftop and talked about dreams bigger than the city we lived in. She loved deeply, honestly, and without hesitation. My brother, on the other hand, loved like someone who always kept one foot out the door. I had seen the cracks forming long before that night. The unanswered calls, the distracted glances, the way he started calling her too emotional whenever she asked for reassurance. I told myself it wasn't my place to interfere. Families have a strange loyalty code. We protect our own, even when they are wrong. But standing there, watching her world unravel, that code felt cowardly. When she finally noticed me, her expression shifted from heartbreak to humiliation. I could see the question in her eyes. How much had I seen? I didn't say anything. I just walked over and handed her the book, though it felt ridiculous in that moment. She didn't take it. She only whispered that she should have known better, that she had ignored every warning sign because she believed love could fix anything. In the days that followed, the house felt tense. My brother avoided the subject completely, brushing it off as not meant to be. I wanted to shake him. I wanted to ask how someone could walk away from a person who had given them nothing but loyalty. Instead, I carried my anger quietly. It wasn't just anger at him. It was anger at myself for never stepping in earlier. A week later, I saw her again. She was sitting alone in the park near our neighborhood, staring at nothing. The once bright spark in her eyes had dimmed. She looked smaller somehow, like heartbreak had physically reduced her. I almost turned around. I told myself she probably didn't want to see me, the brother of the man who had hurt her. But something stronger pushed me forward. I sat down a few feet away, not too close, giving her space. For a while we didn't speak. The wind rustled the trees above us, and children laughed in the distance, a cruel reminder that the world keeps moving no matter how broken you feel inside. Eventually, she admitted she didn't know who she was without him. She had built her future around promises that vanished overnight. She felt foolish, disposable. Listening to her, I realized something painful. My brother had broken more than her heart. He had shaken her sense of worth, and that was something I couldn't stand by and watch. I started small, checking in on her, sending her articles related to the career she once dreamed of pursuing but had paused for my brother's plans, encouraging her to apply for that internship she thought she wasn't good enough for. I never crossed boundaries. I never spoke badly about my brother. I just showed up, consistently, quietly, without expectations. At first, she kept her walls high. She was polite but distant, careful not to let herself rely on anyone again. I understood. Trust, once shattered, doesn't rebuild overnight. There were moments when I questioned myself. Was I doing this out of genuine care, or was I trying to prove I was better than my brother? That question haunted me. I didn't want to be her rebound or her escape. I wanted to be someone steady, someone safe. Months passed. She slowly began to change. The sadness in her eyes softened into determination. She got the internship. She started smiling again, not the forced kind, but the kind that reached her eyes. She began spending time with my mother again, laughing over tea in the kitchen like she used to. Watching her rediscover herself felt like watching spring arrive after a brutal winter. But with that renewal came a storm inside me, Somewhere along the way, my care had deepened into something more dangerous. I admired her resilience. I admired the way she chose growth over bitterness. I admired her strength and vulnerability. And I was terrified of what it meant. Loving your brother's ex is not simple. It's not a romantic movie trope. It's messy. It threatens family bonds. It invites judgment. I fought my feelings for weeks, convincing myself it was just protective instinct. But every time she laughed at something I said, every time she thanked me for believing in her when she couldn't believe in herself, my heart betrayed me. The real challenge wasn't falling for her. It was deciding what to do about it. I knew if I confessed too soon, it would look like I had been waiting for my brother to fail. I knew if I stayed silent forever, I would regret it. So I chose patience. I chose to let her heal completely before even considering the possibility of something more. One evening, almost a year after that rainy night, we found ourselves back at the same cafe. It wasn't planned. It just happened. We were celebrating her job offer at a company she once thought was out of reach. The place no longer felt like a crime scene of heartbreak. It felt like a chapter closed. She told me she had finally forgiven my brother, not because he deserved it, but because she deserved peace. Hearing that lifted a weight from my chest. Forgiveness meant she wasn't carrying the past like a shadow anymore. That was the moment I realized stepping up didn't mean replacing him. It meant being something entirely different. I didn't make grand gestures. I didn't declare dramatic confessions. I simply told her that she mattered to me, not as someone's ex, not as my brother's lost love, but as the woman she had become through her pain. I told her I admired her strength and that I cared for her in a way that went beyond friendship. I also told her she owed me nothing. If she didn't feel the same, I would still respect her and continue wishing her the best from a distance. The silence that followed felt endless. My heart pounded so loudly I was sure she could hear it. What she eventually admitted changed everything. She said the reason she had kept her distance for so long wasn't because she didn't feel anything. It was because she was afraid of destroying what little stability she had rebuilt. She was afraid that loving again, especially within the same family, would reopen old wounds. We both knew it wouldn't be easy. My brother reacted exactly how I expected, with disbelief and anger. He accused me of betrayal, of crossing an unspoken line. For a while, our relationship fractured. Family gatherings became tense. There were whispers, judgmental glances from relatives who didn't know the full story. But here's the truth. Choosing love that is honest and respectful will always upset those who benefited from your silence. We moved slowly, carefully. We built something grounded in transparency. There were hard conversations, uncomfortable dinners, long nights questioning if we were doing the right thing. Yet through all of it, one thing remained steady: the way we treated each other. I never wanted to be the man who won after my brother failed. I wanted to be the man who showed her that love doesn't have to hurt to be real. That consistency can be romantic. That respect can be passionate. That choosing someone every day is more powerful than grand promises. Over time, even my brother's anger cooled. Maybe he realized he had let go of something valuable. Maybe he simply moved on. Either way, the tension faded into something manageable. Years later, when I look at her across the dinner table, I don't see my brother's past. I see our shared journey, the pain that tested us, the patience that shaped us, the courage it took to risk judgment for something genuine. I see the girl who once stood under a rainy sky believing she wasn't enough, and I see the woman who now knows her worth without question. If this story has touched your heart even a little, if you've ever believed in loving someone better than they were loved before, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe for more stories that remind us why kindness still matters. And before we reach the end, I have one special request. Comment below with one word that represents what love means to you. Your word might inspire someone else who is quietly healing. Because sometimes stepping up isn't about proving anything. It's about being brave enough to love with integrity. It's about choosing patience over impulse, respect over pride, and healing over ego. My brother broke her heart. That was his story. But ours became something different, not built on revenge or competition, but on growth. I didn't make her mine by force or by timing. I made her mine by showing up when it was easier to walk away. by loving her in a way that didn't ask her to shrink, by proving that heartbreak doesn't have to be the end of the story. And maybe that's what matters most, not who hurt you, but who stays to help you believe in love again.